Married for 5 years. I finally asked Marcel for a divorce. The hand he was using to sign a contract paused. Then he asked, "Why?" I lowered my eyes. "My family has gone bankrupt." Bankrupt, meaning that to him, I no longer had any value to be used. And also, I smelled gardenia perfume on your coat. The scent was that strong, and he was someone with a severe cleanliness obsession. He would never casually allow another person to get close to his body. Back then, I was love-brained, foolishly romantic, always thinking that as long as I married him, as long as we stayed together long enough, feelings would eventually grow. Back then, Marcel once said to me, "Do you really think that just because you married me, I would fall in love with you?" Now, I finally chose to let go. Chapter 1. The news that my family had gone bankrupt came while I was organizing Marcel's clothes. My mother's voice trembled over the phone. She choked back her sobs for a long time before finally saying, "Amy, our family is bankrupt." The coat in my hands felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds and slipped from my grip. As it fell through the air, it released a pleasant scent of gardenia, but I had never used gardenia-scented perfume. I parted my lips. "Mom, don't be too upset. I have money. I can sell my bags and exchange them for cash." On the other end of the phone, my mother's voice was thick with sobs. "It's not enough. Your father still owes 70 million in external debt." My head spun. Then let's cover it temporarily first. I had never encountered a moment like this before. Only after the call ended did I finally break down and cry. A cheating husband. A family drowning in debt. At that moment, I suddenly began to regret everything, why I had once become such an empty-headed heiress. Good for nothing, with nothing in my mind except falling in love. Chapter 2. It wasn't until evening that Marcel came home. The moment he entered, he started signing contracts, as if I didn't exist. Only when I stood directly in front of him did he raise his eyes. I took a deep breath. "Marcel, let's get a divorce." The hand that had been signing the contract finally stopped. He looked at me, then let out a scoff, still using that gaze he reserved for idiots. "Why?" "My family has gone bankrupt." Bankrupt, meaning that to him, I no longer had any value to be used. And also, I smelled gardenia perfume on your coat. Such a strong scent, and he was someone with a cleanliness obsession. He would never casually allow another person to get close to his body. After I finished saying this, Marcel's face showed a blank expression for the first time. I pressed my lips together and handed him the divorce agreement. "You just need to sign it. I had someone professionally review all the terms. Take a look and see if you're satisfied." Marcel finally moved his fingers and took the agreement. He was handsome, 27 years old. His charm undiminished, even greater than before, with an added maturity that made him even more attractive. After only a few glances, he placed the agreement on the table. "Amy, I think we can face this difficulty together, rather than separating at a time like this." I smiled. "But Marcel, you don't love me. Then why won't you sign the divorce agreement?" Being with me now was nothing but trouble. My heart, at this very moment, still couldn't help but start beating again. After all, Marcel was someone I had loved for 10 years. Could it be that? But what answered me was Marcel's sigh. "I don't want to lie to you, but you look very much like her." Chapter 3. Who did I look like? Marcel refused to tell me the answer. But the very next day, my mother called, her voice carrying barely concealed delight. "Amy, your dad's funding gap has been filled. Marcel helped. Do you think he's fallen for you?" "Well, you've been together 7 years. It would be strange if he hadn't fallen for you by now." My face turned deathly pale, my fingers trembling as I gripped my phone. Because I saw Marcel. He was standing right outside his company building, dressed in a black suit. Beside him was a beautiful woman, young and pretty. She smiled brightly, wearing a white dress. Even her voice seemed to carry the warmth of sunlight. "Marcel, Rocky is still around, right?" There was a smile on Marcel's face, one I had never seen before. I knew Rocky. He was a little mixed-breed mutt. I used to love playing with him, but whenever Marcel saw it, he would carry Rocky away. Back then, I asked him, feeling wronged, "Marcel, I know you don't like me, but can't I even play with the dog you raised?" Marcel frowned, impatience written all over his face. "No," I asked. Why not? After asking the same question 10 times in a row, Marcel finally spoke. Because he was given to me by someone very important. Rocky was raised extremely well. Even during the poorest period of Marcel's life, Rocky was fed the best dog food. I hung up on my mother and opened my phone's camera. After carefully comparing, I realized that the woman beside Marcel really did look a lot like me, whether it was her brows and eyes, or her lips. Only, compared to my face, hers looked purer, more intelligent. The woman bounced on her feet, then cautiously rose onto her tiptoes and kissed Marcel on the lips. Marcel's face slowly flushed red, like a young boy who had just fallen in love. My stubborn, slow-thinking brain finally put everything together. So I was just a stand-in. No wonder. Back then, when I said I wanted to marry Marcel with money, he had clearly been disgusted, even said vicious things to me, yet still agreed. At that time, there had actually been a wealthy older woman who offered an even higher price to be with Marcel. But Marcel rejected her. I had laughed and said, "Marcel, don't regret it. I only have this much money. That rich woman has far more." Marcel frowned. "I'm not selling myself." Back then, he had stared at my face, and I had thought it was because I was prettier than that rich woman. Turns out, it was only because I looked like his first love. Chapter 4. I don't know how I made it back home. It was as if my soul had left my body. I still had to pay Marcel back. He had filled the whole of my father's debts outside. So I had to return the money. I had lived for 25 years without ever worrying about money. But at this moment, I finally began to. I thought for a long time, then started reselling my designer bags and everything of value I owned. The money I exchanged added up to a little over 1 million. I put it all onto a single card, then packed up everything in the house that belonged to me. I shouldn't stay here for the next few days. My mother used to say that although I wasn't very sharp, I did have one strength. That was knowing when to read the situation. What if Marcel brought his first love back here? Of course I would take the initiative to step aside and make room for them. But just as I finished packing and stepped out the door, I ran into Marcel. Not just him, but also the woman who had kissed him earlier that day. The woman lifted her smile. "Hello. My name is Linda." Linda. Oh, I remembered now. I had heard that name before. It appeared on the sky lantern Marcel released the year he and I did that together. Back then, I had paused, looked at the name written carefully by Marcel, and asked, word by word, "Linda, be happy every day." Who is Linda? That night, beneath a sky filled with glowing lanterns, Marcel's voice had been bitter. "She's someone very important in my life." I didn't ask who that important person was. The past was the past. After all, at that time, the person by Marcel's side was me, and it was also that night, after releasing the sky lantern, that he bent down and kissed me. Now, like a bedraggled clown, I stood there awkwardly, forcing a stiff smile. My name is Amy. Chapter 5. When Marcel saw the packed suitcase, he frowned and asked, "It's so late, where are you going?" I blinked, trying hard not to let the tears in my eyes fall, but I cried too easily. I couldn't hold them back. "I'm going to stay at a hotel." So embarrassing, in front of my cheating husband, in front of the other woman. I actually couldn't stop myself from crying. Marcel reached over and yanked the suitcase from my hand. "Why are you going to a hotel?" I wiped away my tears. "You cheated. I'm making space for you too, so I don't have to feel sickened by it." Marcel's expression froze for a second. Then he said to Linda, "Sorry, I need to talk to her alone." Inside the room, Marcel's face turned cold. "She already has a child. There's nothing between her and me anymore. There never was," he said, a trace of desolation flashing across his face. "And there never will be." I raised my hand and slapped Marcel hard across the face. "Get lost. You're disgusting, and I actually liked you for 5 years. Chapter 6. That night, I still moved into a hotel. No matter how long Marcel talked, I never turned back. In the end, he said coldly, "Go then. Don't come begging me to pay attention to you later." My throat tightened. Marcel had always been cold by nature. In the past, whenever he got angry, it was always me who begged him to acknowledge me. Once, I spent an entire day out with friends and didn't go home. Marcel got extremely angry. Though when he was angry, All he did was ignore me. I coaxed him for a full week before he finally gave me a pleasant look again. From then on, I never dared to stay out all day again. People in our social circle would joke, "Others are afraid of their wives. How did you end up afraid of your husband?" I shrugged and gave a helpless smile. "He controls me, that means he loves me." I let out a soft laugh. "Don't worry, I won't come looking for you." As I spoke, I handed him the card I was holding. "I'll pay you back 70 million. There's 1,700,000 in the card right now." Marcel's expression turned livid for the first time. "You're talking money with me?" I nodded. "Yes. If we don't talk about money now, when else would we?" "Oh, right." I looked at Marcel. "In a few days. Let's go get the divorce certificate. I'm really serious about this." Chapter 7. The moment those words left my mouth, Marcel's expression changed. He stood frozen in place, his breathing unsteady. "Divorce?" I didn't look at him again and walked straight away. For the next few days, I stayed in the hotel. Memories from the past surged over me like a tide, swallowing me whole. When I proposed the divorce, it was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Now that I thought back on it, my heart ached. I had liked Marcel for so long. Just saying the word divorce made my chest feel blocked and heavy. But no matter what, life still had to go on. I sent out several resumes and was finally accepted by a company as an intern. A few days later, while I was working part-time at a jewelry store, I ran into Marcel again. He was with Linda. The two of them stood close together, looking perfectly matched. Marcel saw me too. His friends around him started teasing. "Oh, sister-in-law Amy, what a coincidence, running into you here." Linda showed a gentle smile. "You're Amy, right? I saw you at your wedding 5 years ago. Even though you didn't see me, I remembered what you looked like long ago." So that was it. 5 years ago, Linda had already left traces of herself in my life. This time, Marcel didn't act like before. With a cold face, he lashed out first at the man who had called me sister-in-law. "Don't call her that." Marcel's pride was strong. After what I had said last time, he clearly held it against me now. And just then, the manager urged me. "Amy, are the customers trying on rings? Don't you understand basic social sense? Hurry up and take them to try the rings." I bit my lip and asked, "Do you want to try on rings?" Marcel had always been precise when it came to emotions. Even when angry, he wouldn't cross certain lines. But this time, he said, "Then I'll trouble Miss Amy to help Linda try on rings. No matter how expensive, I'll buy them." A look of delight appeared on Linda's face. I nodded and led Linda to choose rings. She deliberately took a long time, intentionally making things difficult for me. In the end, she chose a pair of couple rings. She put on the woman's ring and smiled smugly. "It suits me very well." Then she turned around. "Marcel, you should try it on too. It suits you." I helped Marcel put on the ring. My stomach churned. "Disgusting." I raised my eyes. "The total is 87,000. Will you be paying by card or Alipay?" After Marcel swiped his card, I looked at him. "Oh right, Marcel." I pulled the ring off my own finger. "The ring I'm wearing, I'm returning it to you." Marcel's face visibly went pale. Even the friends who had been cheering earlier fell silent. Finally, Marcel spoke. "There's no taking back what I've given." I nodded, then tossed the ring into the trash can. "Have a safe trip. No need to come again." Marcel's face stiffened. He said to the people around him, "Let's go." After Marcel left the store, I ran to the restroom and started vomiting. Only when there was nothing left in my stomach did I raise my head. In the restroom mirror, my current miserable state was reflected back at me. I wanted to cry, but I realized I had no tears left to shed. Marcel wasn't worth crying over. When I came out of the restroom, the manager said to me, "That was a big order. But Amy, are you okay? You don't look well." I rubbed my eyes and smiled. "I'm fine." The past 5 years, on this very day, when Marcel brought Linda to buy rings, completely turned into a joke. Chapter 8. I threw away everything related to Marcel. Cleaning out each item felt like clearing away the memories of the past. After that day when Marcel left with Linda, he called me again. He seemed to regret it. His voice carried the smell of alcohol, sounding far from sober. "Amy, that day I bought Linda a ring just to make you angry. You went too far. So I wanted to teach you a lesson. I didn't plan to buy it for her. But you kept provoking me. Drunk, he said. Just now I couldn't help it and drank a bottle of liquor. After drinking, my stomach started hurting. I saw the medicine you prepared for me and thought of you. Marcel had stomach problems but never took his medicine. So I bought a lot of stomach medicine and placed it in every corner of the living room, making sure he could always grab some. When I was preparing all that, Marcel had laughed at me. Can you stop acting like an old mother? And now, he was using the medicine as an excuse to call me. I lowered my eyes. Marcel, acting like this only makes me feel disgusted. With that, I hung up the phone. When the last postcard finished burning, I took a deep breath and said, it's time to move forward. In the past, I was stubborn. Once I chose someone, that was it. But after a heart gets hurt, it knows pain too. And I don't want to hurt for Marcel anymore. Chapter 9. It just so happened that I was free on Sunday. So I simply called Marcel. Let's go get the divorce certificate today. But there was no sound on the other end of the line. Just as I was about to think it was a network issue, a voice finally came through. Marcel's voice was low and muffled. I won't go get a divorce with you. Amy, you're just angry right now. I'll wait until you calm down. I was so angry I laughed. Get lost. You make me feel sick. There are plenty of ways to get a divorce anyway. I don't mind meeting you in court. After I finished speaking, the sound on the other end completely disappeared. I looked at my phone and realized Marcel had hung up. Chapter 10. After that, I didn't bother with Marcel anymore. In my heart, things between Marcel and me were already over. I wasn't someone with no self-respect. I had no intention of crawling back to an ex. That day, my best friend Patricia invited me to a banquet. I thought about it and realized it had indeed been a long time since I'd attended one with her. It was my day off anyway. At the banquet, I ran into quite a few familiar faces. The news that Linda had appeared by Marcel's side spread quickly in our social circle. When people looked at me, their gazes carried varying degrees of pity. Feeling irritated, I downed a glass of wine. What do those looks even mean? Patricia put an arm around me. Amy, everyone knew how hard you chased Marcel back then. You finally got married. And now he cheated. Of course they feel sorry for you. I lowered my eyes and let out a bitter smile. Back when I chased Marcel, it really was common knowledge in the circle. I brought him meals I cooked myself. When he complained they tasted bad, I went to learn from others. I chased Marcel fiercely, recklessly, without holding anything back. Now that I'd separated from him, all I got were looks of sympathy. Just then, Patricia froze. Amy, Marcel is here. I hadn't expected Marcel to show up at this banquet. He never liked attending events. Even back when I went to banquets, he would always frown and say, why do you have to go to banquets so often? You always dress so flamboyantly at banquets. It makes me feel insecure. Back then, to accommodate Marcel's sense of insecurity, I rarely attended banquets with Patricia. But thinking about it now, how much of what Marcel said was true, and how much was fake? He was wearing a white suit. The moment he entered, a crowd gathered around him. Patricia sneered. Looks decent on the outside, but behaves like a dog. Marcel didn't spare those people a glance. Instead, he walked straight over to me. If you've calmed down, then come home with me. This seemed to be the first time Marcel had ever taken the initiative to soften toward me. Before this, it had always been me chasing after him. What makes you think I'm just angry? I stared straight into Marcel's eyes. Marcel, cheating is a matter of principle. There's only the first time and countless times after. I will never go back with you. Chapter 11. There were many people around, and Marcel was someone who cared deeply about his pride. The atmosphere stayed tense. In the end, Marcel still loosened his grip. He lowered his eyes, glanced at me as if extremely irritated, then turned and left. Very quickly, teasing voices rose from around us. Wait, did Marcel come to this kind of banquet on his own initiative this time just to find Amy? I thought Amy chasing Marcel back then was all in vain. Turns out, it did work. Patricia snorted. They're just a bunch of busybodies. Amy, don't take their words to heart. Of course I wouldn't. Halfway through the banquet, a commotion broke out at the entrance. A large crowd immediately surged toward the door. Patricia poked me and whispered, Amy, do you know why so many big names in the industry came to this banquet? I put down my glass, instantly piqued by curiosity. As the man at the entrance walked in, I heard Patricia's voice, because this banquet was hosted by the most famous big shot in the circle, Noah. As Patricia finished speaking, I saw the man at the door clearly. In that instant, my throat went dry. When Noah lifted his eyes, he saw me too. His deep gaze locked onto me immediately. That look, compared to 5 years ago, carried boundless aggression and countless layers of longing I could barely understand. Then, he strode quickly toward me. His voice was low, as pleasant as a violin. Long time no see. Chapter 12. Patricia looked like she was about to faint. What? Amy, you know Noah? How should I put it? Noah and I were childhood sweethearts back then. Because our families were close, we were even engaged as children. He had always stayed by my side, protecting me like a next-door older brother. But when I was in college, I met Marcel. Compared to Noah, I preferred someone like Marcel, cold, aloof, and proud. So I kicked up a fuss and insisted on canceling my engagement with Noah. Everyone around me tried to persuade me not to. But at that time, Noah didn't say a single word. Instead, he went with me to the family residence. He said, "Amy, your happiness matters most. Who you like is your right. I can't trap you by my side." With Noah's help, the process of canceling the engagement was difficult. But in the end, it was done. When we walked out of the residence, Noah's voice carried a trace of pleading. "Amy, if you're not happy one day, can you look back at me? I'll always be behind you." Back then, I frowned. "Noah, the one I like is Marcel. You should like someone else." After the engagement was cancelled, I only heard that Noah was going abroad to develop his career. On the day I got married, Noah never showed up. Once he went abroad, 5 full years passed. And now, he was finally back. I stood up. Long time no see. Noah was more mature than 5 years ago. His eyes seemed to hold spring water within them, far more striking than before. Once, I had smiled and said to him, "Noah, has anyone ever told you that your eyes are really beautiful?" Back then, Noah shook his head. No. Later, when I asked people around us, they all said, "Gentle like water?" That's only when he looks at you. Normally, when Noah looks at people, his gaze is as cold as ice. Pulling myself out of those memories, I asked, "Did you come back this time because your overseas career has stabilized?" Noah looked at me, his eyes filled with a kind of obsession I had never seen before. Yes, and no. I blinked. Amy, what if I said I came back this time to steal someone away? Noah's words were so blunt that they caught me completely off guard. Chapter 13. After we walked out of the banquet, the way people looked at me had already changed. After all, Noah was an even more dazzling figure than Marcel. So Amy actually has Noah behind her. Didn't Amy and Noah have a childhood engagement? Though it was cancelled back then, Noah ignored those remarks and looked at me instead. "I'll drive you." I was just about to refuse when Patricia cut in. "That's perfect. Noah, I'll leave our Amy in your care." Noah smiled. "Then please get in the car." Amy. I had no choice but to get into Noah's car. As he fastened my seatbelt, whether intentionally or not, he leaned very close to me, so close that I could smell the crisp scent of cedarwood on him. Our breaths tangled together. I tilted my head slightly, but unfortunately, my lips bumped into Noah's forehead. My eyes widened, and I heard Noah let out a muffled laugh. "Amy, I was just trying to fasten your seatbelt." My face instantly flushed red. Compared to 5 years ago, Noah carried far more aggression now. Noah soon started the car, the engine roaring to life. But suddenly, my phone rang. It was Marcel. I answered the call, only to hear heavy breathing on the other end. He sounded furious. Marcel's voice seemed laced with ice. "Amy, who are you with right now?" He spoke word by word, his voice trembling even at the tip of his tongue. I frowned. "Who I'm with right now has nothing to do with you." Marcel's voice continued. "When you two kissed just now, I was near your car." I raised my eyes, and sure enough, not far from Noah's car, I saw Marcel. That white suit was impossible to miss. Chapter 14. I hung up the phone directly. Inside the car, Noah's voice was light and amused. I didn't expect him to run into that scene. He won't blame me, will he? I rubbed my temples. He has no right to. After getting out of the car, Noah unfastened my seatbelt and stared straight at me. See you tomorrow. I nodded. But what I didn't expect was that there was someone standing at the entrance of my rental apartment. It was Marcel, the white suit wrapped around his body. He stared at me, his eyes bloodshot. Amy, what do you mean by this? This Marcel felt unfamiliar. In the past, Marcel had never shown such a loss of control expression. He used to say that there was no one in this world worth losing control over. And now, his eyes were rimmed red. Amy, give me an explanation, I said expressionlessly. Marcel, we're already over. Whatever I do next has nothing to do with you. Oh, right. If there has to be something that concerns you, then it's money. Yesterday, I remembered something. The villa my dad bought for us before, its market value should already be 70 million by now, right? So, Marcel, if you sell that villa, you're not actually losing anything. The moment I finished speaking, Marcel roared, I'm not selling it. He stared at me. Amy, so many beautiful memories happened in that villa. His eyes were red. We lived in that villa together for 3 years. 3 years. From the moment we got married, Marcel and I had lived in that villa. There, we planted flowers and trees together, fed goldfish together. There, Marcel had once kissed me and said he wanted to be with me forever. It was true, the villa carried far too many memories. But, I lowered my eyes and let out a mocking smile. Marcel, don't do this. Your first love must still be waiting for you at home, right? Regret finally surfaced on Marcel's face. Amy, there's nothing between her and me. As for what happened today, I can pretend nothing happened, as long as you're willing to come back with me. Marcel was truly despicable. When I was with him before, doing everything I could to please him, he looked down on me, he even treated me as a stand-in. Now that I wanted to leave him, he regretted it. Get lost. Chapter 15. I saw Marcel at my door. He must have been sitting there all night. When he saw me, he stood up immediately, but his strength failed him, and he collapsed onto the ground. Amy, there was pleading in his voice, but I only said, please move. I need to go out. Oh, and if I see you still sitting at my door when I come back, I'll call security. I didn't look at the desolation on Marcel's face. I turned and left directly. By the time I finished a full day of work, it was already evening. I didn't expect Noah to be waiting for me downstairs at the office building. When he saw me, he smiled and stuffed a bouquet of flowers into my arms. Patricia told me you work here. In my arms were lilies, giving off a rich, lingering fragrance. Sitting in the car, I thought of what happened yesterday and couldn't help but feel my face heat up. When I got back, Marcel was still stubbornly sitting in front of my door. I was holding the lilies, the smile on my face not yet gone. But when I saw him, my expression stiffened. Marcel gave a bitter smile. Did he bring you back? Impatient, I frowned, took out my phone, and called security directly. Under the lights, Marcel looked extremely fragile. Amy, you weren't like this before. As he spoke, tears streamed down his face. This was the first time I had ever seen Marcel cry. He cried like a child, completely without dignity. Amy, are you going to abandon me? I ignored him. In my eyes, Marcel was no different from a madman now. In the end, Marcel was dragged away by security. Someone so proud, this was the first time his face was filled with utter dejection. Chapter 16. Just like that, a month passed. On work days, Noah would always drive over to pick me up. I felt as if my heart had gradually made room for something soft. Marcel didn't appear in my life at all during that month. It was peaceful. Until one night, when Noah and I were having hot pot together, I received a call from one of Marcel's friends. The line was very quiet. Then Marcel's friend spoke. Did you and Marcel have a fight? He's been crying non-stop. When I got to his place, he was lying alone on the floor, smelling of alcohol. When he saw me, he froze, then hugged me and cried. He kept calling your name. His hands seemed to be bleeding, and he was holding a diary. I asked to take a look, but he refused no matter what. Hey, Amy, Do you want to come see Marcel? A diary? I remembered. I had written a very thick diary, 5 years of my life with Marcel. All trivial things, like what Marcel liked to eat, and what he couldn't eat. I observed him carefully, noticed which day he ate an extra bite at the table, which dishes made him frown. I remembered all of it. That diary was filled with sweet moments between Marcel and me. Sometimes I even drew little illustrations. When Marcel saw it, he mocked me. How childish. Back when I loved him, I was willing to endure it. I didn't know when it started. But the sweet moments in that diary grew fewer and fewer until I could no longer find even a trace of sweetness in real life. On the phone, Marcel's friend continued, "Amy, come take a look at Marcel, okay?" Just then, Noah spoke. "Amy, do you want some tripe?" Noah's voice was clear and gentle. Immediately after, the sound of a bottle shattering came from the phone. Marcel's voice followed, filled with rage. "He's with you. It's 11 at night, and you're still together. Amy, don't tell me you two are living together now." Noah raised an eyebrow. "Amy, he's really fierce." His voice was intimate, deliberately provocative. Right after that, I heard something being smashed on the other end of the line. Marcel completely lost control, shouting into the phone, "You're not allowed to touch her." I sighed. "Marcel, I don't want to receive any more of your calls. Unless you contact me yourself, to go get the divorce certificate. And if that doesn't work," I added calmly, "I can also file for divorce in court." Chapter 17. After hanging up the phone, I looked at Noah. Noah looked innocent. "Want some tripe?" I nodded. After finishing hot pot, it was already midnight. Noah and I talked about many things from the past. Noah lay down on the sofa. The sofa in this apartment was big enough for a man who was 1.85 meters tall to sleep comfortably. I turned off the lights and walked over to him. "Good night." But my wrist was suddenly grabbed. Noah's eyes were bright. "Amy, up to now, you still haven't said anything to reject me. Can I take that to mean I still have a chance?" Noah's gaze was like deep water in a quiet abyss. For many years, he had looked at me with the same eyes, accompanying me through my life. I nodded. My future shouldn't have Marcel's shadow in it anymore." Noah couldn't help himself and pulled me into his arms. His heartbeat was fast. Only then did I realize belatedly that my neck felt cool. Noah was crying. Tears slid down across my shoulder and neck. I said softly, "Noah, don't cry." Noah only buried his face deeper into my shoulder. After a long while, he said in a muffled voice, "This time, I won't let go." There was obsession in his voice. "This time, you gave me the chance. Don't expect me to let go on my own. 5 years ago, I let go once. You weren't happy, and I regretted it so much it nearly destroyed me. I didn't know who kissed whom first. But in the end, Noah finally stopped crying." Chapter 18. The next day, I saw Marcel at my door again. It had only been a month since I last saw him, yet he looked far more haggard than before. Unlike his previous carefully groomed appearance, Marcel now reeked of alcohol. He was sitting right outside my door, empty bottles piled up in the corner. When he saw me, despair finally appeared on his face. "There are shoes at the door." "Noah's, right? He slept at your place last night?" I didn't answer, but Noah walked out from inside the apartment. There was a look of satisfaction on his face. When he saw me, he asked affectionately, "Amy, I'll go buy you some porridge. I remember you used to like Zhangji's porridge the most." As if only just noticing, Noah looked at Marcel sitting on the ground and said in surprise, "Isn't this boss Marcel? You didn't sit here all night, did you?" Marcel's face was deathly pale. His eyes lowered. The air seemed to stop flowing, so quiet it felt like a pin dropping could be heard. After a long time, he finally lifted his eyes. "Amy, you loved me so much before. Now you just let go like this. How am I supposed to live?" His face was covered in tears as he spoke. "Amy, how can you abandon me like this?" I took a deep breath. "Marcel, don't act like you're so deeply in love. You were the one who cheated first. Looking for me now is useless." "Oh, right. It'd be best if we go get the divorce certificate in the next few days. Otherwise, I'll see you in court." Chapter 19. A few days later, Marcel still went with me to get the divorce certificate. After we walked out of the civil affairs office, he seemed as if all his strength had been drained and slumped onto the ground. I still remembered the day Marcel and I went to get our marriage certificate. Back then, I smiled and said, "We're going to be together for a lifetime." Marcel replied coldly, "Who knows what will happen later? Very few people actually stay together for life." I pouted and said he was killing the mood. But when it came time to take the photo, Marcel still couldn't help but smile. The smile was faint, but the camera caught it anyway. Now, I was holding the divorce certificate in my hand, and beside me stood Noah, who had been waiting for a long time. When Noah saw the certificate in my hand, the corner of his lips lifted. "Let's go." Behind us, Marcel's voice sounded. "Amy." I turned around and saw his reddened eyes. "Will you ever think of me in the future?" I turned back and said, "No, someone like you isn't worth remembering. It's too disgusting." Beside me came Noah's voice. "Marcel really has no shame. Saying something that disgusting. Not like me." "Amy." I couldn't help but laugh and played along. "You're the best." Chapter 20. 1 year later, Noah and I got married. He gave me the grandest wedding. The venue was filled with lilies I loved. Patricia did my makeup, chattering excitedly as she worked. "I'm definitely asking for a bridesmaid fee later." I laughed. "Ask Noah for it." Many people attended the wedding, almost everyone from our social circle, and I also saw Marcel. He came uninvited. When Noah saw him, he frowned. "What is he doing here?" I frowned as well. An ex-husband appearing at my current wedding was indeed nauseating. I walked up to Marcel. "If I remember correctly, this wedding didn't invite you." My tone was far from polite. Disappointment flashed across Marcel's face. "I can't even come take a look at you?" I smiled, speaking slowly and clearly. "No, because it makes me feel sick." Noah had security throw Marcel out before he left. Marcel's face was deathly pale, as if all his soul had been sucked out. Noah sneered. "What's he pretending for? Didn't he spend this whole year with Linda?" That was true. Over the past year, Marcel had been with Linda. I only heard that Linda had used some underhanded methods to force Marcel into being with her. She exposed Marcel online, claiming how well he had treated her before, how much he had loved her. She said that just because she had a child, Marcel began to despise her. The incident went viral online, but netizens soon dug up her identity as a mistress. Under public pressure, Marcel married Linda, but he didn't even give her a wedding. Those underhanded methods became a joke within the circle. Both Linda's and Marcel's reputations were utterly ruined. No one in the circle thought highly of either of them. After all, during that year, Marcel drank heavily every day. His company didn't perform well either, coupled with public backlash. His company's stock price also fell, but all of that had nothing to do with me anymore. I took Noah's hand. His hand was warm. "Noah, from now on, we're going to be together forever." Noah lowered his eyes. Of course, the way he looked at me had never changed, just like it was in the beginning. Chapter 21. After Amy's wedding ended that day, Marcel began drinking himself senseless every single day, far more viciously than before. People around him all tried to persuade him to stop drinking so heavily. After all, too much alcohol ruined the body. He frowned. He always felt that if he didn't drink that much, there would be an emptiness in his heart that couldn't be filled. What was more, when he went home, the face waiting for him, although it looked very similar to Amy, was also very different. That face didn't have Amy's soft sweetness. Linda wouldn't cook him hangover soup. She wouldn't coax him to drink less. But Amy would. Every time he finished comparing the two, Marcel missed Amy even more. In fact, Marcel had met Amy in a bar. Amy had been pampered by her family since childhood, wearing a designer dress, sitting on the sofa, laughing openly. She was beautiful, especially that day. Under the scent of brandy, she was breathtaking. Marcel knew who Amy was. Uneducated, a spoiled rich girl in this circle, a pretty but empty-headed fool. But when he looked more closely, she seemed very similar to the first love he could never have. Marcel's heart immediately started pounding. He was smart. He was realistic. His first love had already gone abroad and even gotten married there. He could never have her again. So that day, he deliberately appeared in Amy's line of sight with his friends. Sure enough, She was a fool. She was instantly attracted by his looks, and urged on by her group of girlfriends. She blushed and came over to ask for his contact information. "Hi, my name is Amy. Can I add you?" Amid the surrounding laughter, he took out his phone. "I don't add people easily." After that, every step Amy took went exactly as he had predicted. Amy's clumsiness, Amy's sweetness. Amy was really stupid. That was what he thought when he watched Amy try to make him a birthday cake. And yet, he still said, "I'll help you." He ended up doing worse than Amy, for reasons he didn't understand. That birthday cake turned into a deliberate competition on his part. In the end, he made a beautiful cake. He lowered his eyes and looked at Amy's cake, ugly, shapeless, like something only a witch in a fairy tale would make. But Amy still said, "Wow, Marcel, you did such a great job." At that moment, it felt as if someone had kneaded his heart hard, bringing with it a faint, sour ache. No one had ever said that to him before, and it was at that instant that his heart began to beat for Amy. He just didn't realize it. He had liked Linda before. Even being with Amy, for the most part, had been because Amy resembled Linda. After Linda returned, after he learned she had divorced, he still never thought about marrying her. A first love from youth was important, yes, but it seemed it couldn't compare to the woman at home. He admitted that after Linda came back, he had harbored a sense of luck. He stayed close to Linda, but the closer he got, the more he realized that, without knowing when it had happened, the person he loved had already become Amy. That was why, when Amy first proposed divorce, he panicked, but he couldn't refuse Linda either. The moon he could never reach before, hanging high in the sky, suddenly lowered itself after returning to the country, becoming something he could touch. He wanted both. He was that realistic, that greedy. And so, in the end, it brewed into an irreparable outcome.